The 5 Rules of Greymore Prison. Sit back and try to relax, folks.
My name is Clive Hammond. I'm not innocent, and I've never claimed to be. 6 years ago, I sent a man to the ICU with a shattered skull and 3 collapsed ribs. He was threatening my brother with a knife in a gas station parking lot. I took a tire iron from the back of my car and made sure he never walked right again. They gave me 8 years for aggravated assault with intent to kill. I had 5 months left. I was clean, quiet. I'd been documenting my rehab, praying for parole. Then one night at 3:14 a.m., everything changed. 3 men entered my cell without a word. No guards. No cuffs, no noise. One handed me a manila envelope. No return address, no paperwork. Just a red stamp across the center. Relocated. Before I could ask, they had me out of the bunk and walking. No explanation. No personal belongings. Just the cold echo of my footsteps and a sense that this was not protocol. Warden Klein stood outside his office window as I passed. He didn't blink, didn't acknowledge me. I don't think he could. The vehicle wasn't a prison van. It was an unmarked black SUV with no plates. We drove for hours. Trees grew denser. Road signs disappeared. Fog settled in like it had roots. Eventually, the gravel became a trail. At the end was a massive windowless structure with a high concrete wall. The only light came from sodium lamps flickering above a cracked metal gate. A sign lay face down in the mud, but I saw the name carved on the arch above the gate. REDCROW, Correctional. I'd never heard of it. No logos, no insignias, not even a flag. Inside, I was processed by a man who looked barely alive. Pale skin, no name badge, no small talk. He scanned my retina and said, "Designation, number 000-RH. What does the RH stand for?" He didn't answer. He just blinked, once, and handed me a folded gray uniform. No one else spoke after that. They walked me through the corridors in silence. The facility was brutally plain, gray, cracked, decaying like no one had maintained it for years. The paint peeled in long strips that looked like they'd been clawed down. No one else walked the halls. The lights hummed like flies trapped in glass. I was placed in cell C-113. Solid concrete. No bunkmate, no bars. Just a single slab, a center drain, and a sink that rattled when it coughed out brown water. And a Bible. No cover. Pages missing. The first day passed in silence. No announcements, no schedule. I wasn't told where to go or when. I waited, hungry, until a tray slid through the door at noon. I didn't see who delivered it. That night I slept badly. Something about the walls. Too soft to the sound. Too porous. I could hear faint breathing from rooms far down the block, but no one talked. The next morning, a folded note appeared under my door, printed in all caps. No signature. Do not ask about the stairs past cell block D. Pretend they don't exist. I asked anyway. I wasn't trying to stir trouble, just confused. I asked a nearby guard what the note meant. He stopped walking, didn't look at me, just tilted his head slightly, as if listening to something else. Then he said flatly, "There are no stairs." But his eyes said something different, and from that point on, the hallway lights dimmed whenever I walked under them. More notes came slowly, always typed, always unsigned, slipped under my door at night. If you hear scratching under your bed between 3:33 and 3:44 a.m., remain still. Do not respond. It's not for you. The chapel must be entered once a week. Sit for 13 minutes. Eyes closed. Whatever you hear, ignore it. If your door unlocks after lights out, stay inside. Even if someone begs, even if it's your voice. If selected for basement maintenance, do not say yes. Do not say no. Say, I'm not ready. I didn't understand any of it, but something inside me, a deeper instinct, believed it. Still, part of me rebelled. What kind of prison runs on anonymous rules? What kind of system punishes curiosity? If this was a test, I didn't know the subject. That night I heard the scratching. It came from beneath my slab, slow and deliberate. 4 drags. Pause. 4 again. I froze. My body locked tight with fear. I wanted to ask, "What are you?" But I remembered the note. So I stayed still. At 3:44, the scratching stopped. The next morning, I found a new note waiting for me. Your obedience is being monitored. Below it, someone had scrawled something in pen. Not typed, not uniform. A single word. Progressing. That was the first time I realized the rules weren't just suggestions. They were being recorded, measured, evaluated. By who? By what? I didn't know yet, but I knew I was being watched. Not like a guard watches you. Like something behind the wall was judging me. Every choice, every hesitation. And that's when the chapel door opened for the first time. Not by force, by invitation. They told me to go to the chapel on day 8. They didn't say it directly. No guard stood at my door. No order was spoken. But when I woke up, the light above my door blinked 3 times, paused, then blinked again. The same sequence repeated every few minutes. Under my tray that morning was a folded slip of paper, typed in all caps. You have been scheduled for chapel entry. Attend immediately. Remember, 13 minutes. Eyes closed. Do not speak. No signature. Just that unspoken, tightening sense that something was watching to see what I'd do. I'd seen the chapel door before. Most inmates pretended it wasn't there. Old wood, flaking paint, a long blackened symbol above the arch, some kind of cross that had been carved over and burned out, like the structure had been repurposed by something that hated what it used to be. I approached slowly. The hallway behind me emptied of all sound. Even the buzzing of the lights disappeared. The chapel was colder than the rest of Redcrow, and the air felt thick, like it had been sitting there for too long. Breathing it felt like inhaling through wet cloth. There were only 4 pews, warped, stained. Not a single one aligned properly with the others. But the thing that truly disturbed me was the crucifix. It wasn't Christ. The figure nailed to it had no face, just smooth, wax-like skin, stretched tight across a skull-shaped frame. Its arms weren't nailed, but bound with barbed wire. Wrapped so tight, the skin bulged and tore around the wire. Worse, its arms weren't outstretched. They were reaching forward, toward the room, like it was trying to grasp the first person who looked too long. I sat in the back row. I looked at the clock above the door. 3:13 p.m. Then I closed my eyes. Minute 1, nothing. Minute 3, a sound behind me. The pew creaked. I knew no one had entered. I hadn't heard a door, but something now sat behind me, breathing lightly, too lightly. Minute 6, whispering, just behind my left ear. The voice was familiar. My mother. "Clive, honey, you can open your eyes. I'm here." She died 5 years ago. I felt my spine go stiff. My lungs burned. I knew the rule. Eyes closed, do not speak. But the voice kept going, shaking, fragile. "They didn't tell you, did they? They're using you. You have to look. You have to see what this place really is." Minute 8. Her tone changed. Less grief, more hunger. "Clive, look at me. You owe me that. You owe me everything." My breath was ragged. I almost broke. My hands shook. My jaw clenched. Then the voice dropped to a whisper, deeper than before. "You were warned." Minute 13 arrived in total silence. The breathing stopped. The air grew still. I opened my eyes. Everyone else was gone. I was alone, but the crucifix had changed. The faceless figure now had a mouth, wide, torn at the corners, smiling, grinning like it had heard everything that had happened, and its head was tilted toward me. Back in my cell, another note waited, shorter this time, typed, "You broke Rule 3. And beneath it, hand scrawled in a sharp, aggressive stroke. "Failure recorded." I stared at it for hours. Some part of me tried to tell myself it didn't matter, that the rules were just scare tactics. But I could feel it. The atmosphere around me changed. The light in my room buzzed louder. The drain gurgled more often. The scratching returned, closer. 3 days later, the door unlocked after lights out. I knew the rule. Do not leave your room, even if someone begs, even if it's your voice. But I hadn't been able to sleep since the chapel. I needed to move. I needed to breathe. The hallway was empty at first, silent. Then I saw him, standing in the red emergency light down the hall. My brother, but thinner. His skin sagged. His eyes were gray. He'd died of an overdose years before. He raised one arm. His voice echoed wrong, like it was skipping. "Clive, you can help me now. It's not too late." I took one step forward, then another. The moment my foot left the cell threshold, the light slammed off. Total darkness. Then the thing in front of me moved, too fast, too wrong. Its joints cracked. Its limbs bent backward. It screamed in a way that didn't use lungs, just pressure. I turned and dove back into my cell, slammed the door shut behind me, and listened as something dragged claws across the metal for exactly 13 minutes. Then, silence. In the morning, I found no food tray, just another note. "You broke Rule 4. Below it, judgment pending." That's when the dreams began. Not images, locations. A staircase carved from bone. A pit that breathed. Walls made of faces. I'd wake up with nosebleeds. My nails cracked. My gums ached. And then one morning, a final note arrived. No rule this time. Just 2 words. Basement maintenance. I remembered the rule, the one that made no sense at the time. If selected for basement maintenance, do not say yes. Do not say no. Say, "I'm not ready." So I did. I whispered the phrase through dry lips. "I'm not ready." The guard at the door didn't blink, didn't speak. He just nodded once and walked away. But I knew what came next. They weren't asking anymore. They were waiting. The hollow was open. and it had already recorded my failure. The key pulsed in my hand like a second heartbeat. At 11:44 p.m., my cell door unlocked. No guards, no announcement. Just that same heavy silence I'd come to fear more than screams. I stepped out and walked alone through Block C. The air felt charged, like before a lightning strike. When I reached Block D, the red lights flickered, then steadied. Dim, low, ritualistic. The walls here were slick with moisture that hadn't been there before. Then I saw them. The stairs, carved into the floor at the end of the hallway, descending into blackness. No rail, no lights, no return. I went down. The air changed with every step. Not colder, denser, like I was sinking, not walking. The concrete felt soft underfoot, like something beneath it was shifting, adjusting, waiting. At the bottom stood a door made of warped black wood, stitched with iron bands and something like tendon. My name was burned into the frame. C-L-I-V-E, written in slow, deliberate strokes. The key turned on its own. The door opened. The hollow was not empty. It was full of the dead, but not buried, not resting. The walls weren't made of stone. They were made of people. Hundreds, maybe thousands, fused into the structure, faces stretched into the concrete like melting wax, eyes open, mouths barely moving, some whispering, some twitching, some eternally still. Their bodies blended into the surface. No seams, no skin, just flesh turned into architecture. Their faces watched me. Their eyes followed me. Some were still crying. At the center of the hollow was the pit, a perfectly round, yawning absence. Breathing, wet, hungry, and above it floated the creature. It hung like a puppet from black cords and strands of barbed wire. Its body was gaunt and faceless except for the grin, that impossible, stretching smile I'd seen in the chapel. Its arms were spread wide, open like a mockery of a savior. It looked at me, and it spoke my name. Clive Hammond, you were given rules. My mouth felt filled with ash. I barely managed to speak. I didn't understand them. Understanding was never required. The walls pulsed. Obedience was. I backed away. You don't understand. I thought you broke the rules. You left your cell. You asked about the stairs. You opened your eyes. Each sentence struck like a hammer in my skull. You failed the test. I turned to run. Foolish. There was nowhere to go. The floor beneath me cracked and opened. I didn't fall. I was taken. I remember screaming, but no sound came out. I remember being peeled, not just from my body, but from my name, my past, my thoughts. I could feel something pulling my soul out like thread from wet cloth. My mouth was sealed shut by unseen hands. My voice was replaced by a whisper. My skin faded. My bones softened. My eyes became part of something vast and unmoving. I didn't die. I stretched. Now I am the wall. I am in it, around it, beneath it. I feel the footsteps of every inmate. I feel their heartbeat, their hesitation, their prayers. I know who breaks the rules before they do, and I whisper to them. I don't get to scream anymore, only whisper, through cracks in the plaster, through the drain, through the pipes. I whisper the rules in my own voice. I whisper things no one told me. I whisper warnings, but they won't listen. They never do. Sometimes I scratch. 4 times. Pause. for again. A rhythm like a code, like a heart that's still trying to beat even after being flattened into the walls. They hear me at night. They freeze just like I did. They think it's rats. It's not rats. It's me. Redcrow is not a prison. It is a test. A test you only pass if you follow every rule, no matter how cruel, how senseless, how insane. Break the pattern, and the hollow will take you. It will erase you, not from memory, but from meaning. You will not be remembered. You will not be mourned. You will become part of the ritual. You will become structure. And now I wait. I wait for another inmate to ask about the stairs, to leave their door open, to open their eyes in the chapel. When they do, the hollow will open again, and I will whisper to them through the walls, "You were given rules.